Hey, Jules Blessed Vegan, and as always, welcome to my channel. And for those of you who are new, I know you can benefit. People, I'm struggling for. I am struggling. you know, um, I named this A Tale of Two Jules. It's so true. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And that is just so true. I have all these desires, but I fight myself every minute. Those are the tale of two Jules. Like, part of me is so incredibly blessed, insanely blessed. I mean, every prayer I ask is answered. Every need I have is given. I'm so blessed. When I pray for others, God is right there in so many ways. I have knowledge. I retain knowledge. Like, there's so many things. I navigate this world really well. I'm just crazy blessed. And then on the other hand, I am always fighting myself. Like, I have been so hypercritical recently. And, I, like, nothing is enough. Nothing's good enough. If I do the smallest infraction, I am so hard on myself. It's insane. And I know a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I'm hard on myself too. I don't know. It's like that on top of a very obsessive, just a voice in my head that just batters me. And like, I have probably just a little bit of a cold right now. I kind of woke up yesterday a little off my game. No sore throat or anything. I'm so grateful, but just slightly congested and just feeling a little off for myself, right? And of course, I'm a teacher. Of course, the Omicron virus of COVID is just smashing through our schools. So many teachers are out. We're taking extra kids every day. Ironically, some of the kids just came from the teacher who had COVID and by all accounts were exposed, and we have them in our room. But at the end of the day, the best way to protect ourselves, no matter what, is by washing our hands and wearing a mask anyway. I mean, if you happen to have, gotten the vaccine or even the booster, hello. I mean, it just keeps going. All of those are additional protection, but even before any vaccines were available, we were washing our hands more, wearing a mask, right? But colds are still around. The flu is still around. I don't have any issues. I'm just congested. And for me, it's a little tricky because sometimes it can just be allergies. I am so sensitive to many things, fragrances, industrial cleaners, dog dander, and I have a bunch of dogs. Grass, ironically, and I have to give out hay twice a day to the horses. So sometimes it's that, and I wait a moment to find out, what that is. But I don't want to, have to do a COVID test and prove that I'm not sick and blah, blah, blah. When I'm most vulnerable regarding my eating and my food plan is when I am under the weather at all. And I think I just comforted myself so many times in my life by eating whatever that was to try and feel better. And even though I know the better way, right, by eating fruit and vegetables and plant-based fats and everything, my mind still goes to that. And, I'm still doing my program, and the days are adding up. I'm at day 83, but with that obsessive, hypercritical mindset, I know the exact 4 days that I chose to eat something that wasn't perfect, and even the 12-step program says none of us have done anything like adhere to perfect abstinence. You do the best you can, and when you fall, you get back on the horse and go, and again, and I'll reference Tanny Raw because she's such a phenom, and if you don't know her, look her up on any social media platform for health. But Tanny Raw has what's called, I want to say a life plan, a forever plan. And, it's kind of one of those targets where the center, you are on plan. You are doing all that's right for your best self, And then the next ring is you're doing really well. You've tapped into a couple of things that aren't your highest vibration, if you will, but you're on it. And sometimes you've done that. And then you're on that outer ring, which is like, that's a hard no. And what the heck are you doing out here? And where's your life jacket? And so I so get that. And I always say for my good, better, best, my best is all plant-based, ideally raw fruit, vegetables, healthy fats, all my water. There's so much. It's definitely my best. My better is the plant-based, not necessarily all raw, but no animals ever, no animals harmed in the making of my food, no animal products of any kind. And then that outer rim would for sure, again, not be any animals. I am committed. People don't realize the difference. But in our society right now where it's trendy, they absolutely intermesh vegan with plant-based. And vegan is an advocacy for the animals. You're doing it to save animals, to spare animals torture and pain and senseless murder. You're recognizing animals as sentient beings who God had a purpose for on this planet, and it wasn't for human consumption, and it wasn't for humans to just go for broke and abuse. Now, I know somebody could argue biblically. It was interesting because in the Garden of Eden, it really was all vegan. And then there was the fall, and then just shortly later, and still in Genesis, I think it's Genesis chapter 11, was when God decided he was going to start over. He does not want my opinion. All right. That he was going to start over and flood the world and, reduced everything down to 2 of every animal, and just Noah, his wife, and I think they're 3 sons and 3 daughter-in-laws, if you will. But anyway, to reduce it down to there and to basically restart the population of the earth. And at that time, he did give permission for humans to eat animals. And one thing, though, to not be confused at all, is that God never, ever, ever said, though I realize they flooded the planet, and it's going to take time not only to repopulate, but to regrow all of the beautiful fruit and vegetables that I so lovingly provided for you, 8 chapters ago. I'm going to allow you to consume some animals. And of course, they had the animals with them because there was 2 of every kind to repopulate the planet. But there's no way, he said, and I want you to do factory farming and abuse them. I want you to massively produce them beyond anything normal and use all of the things you need to make that happen, from Frankenstein animals to, poisoning humans by all of the antibiotics and all of the artificial means and poisoning our produce with pesticides. And really, this tiny little grace that said, I understand you need to live. And in the interim, and let's be fair, plants take 4 days, 6 weeks to grow. You can have an animal or 2 to survive. How did it get to this? Oh my goodness. So anyway, never animals, and I did indicate that I faltered once or twice, in the first year, but I'm well into my 3rd year, and that's a hard no, and no animal products. So, because I used to try and justify vegetarian, because I had family members who were vegetarian long before I knew anything about vegan, and it was well, and you know what? It wasn't hurting the animals initially. It's kind of hard for me because I have children, my students, and they'll write what a blessing it is to have milk from their cow and eggs from their chicken because their families have no money. And when they're hungry, they can have that. And I mean, how can I argue with the preciousness and and the gratefulness of what they have there, and how they're a family that's serving each other, and those animals are giving service to that family, and the family isn't selling the eggs or over milking the cow or abusing them. I don't have anything on that, and it's not my job. Another thing Tanny Raw always says is, you don't, when you're packing for anything, whether it's the suitcase I pack all my fruit and vegetables in for my lunch at school, or whether it's a literal suitcase to go on a trip, you never have to make room for your soapbox. She's like, if people aren't paying you to speak and they didn't come to you, you don't need to. And that's pretty brilliant, and I get it. So, it's just prayers all around. We do the best we can, and we have to answer to God one-on-one. It's one-on-one. I will answer to God myself for my own choices, and as I've become informed, those are my choices, to not abuse animals in making my food. And when I made this channel, all those years ago, I did indicate that exact thing, saying, and I think, what has it been, almost 3.5 years, that my goal was to not harm animals in the making of my food, and that's still completely true. So anyway, yeah, I'm having a little bit of something. I pray it's gone in the morning. I am eating, on plan, which I'm so grateful for. So I know no matter what, I always have my best chance, to be sick for the shortest amount of time and the greatest recovery. One thing that's interesting to me is that I've been having a ton of pain in my hands and in my ankles, which is really weird. But, 83 days in, I try not to overly talk about detoxing because it's different for everybody, and some things aren't detox. What I'm seeing is that this hand actually is swollen right here where it's hurting the most. It's interesting. I can push all over and it doesn't hurt, but if I move my thumb or push on my palm against something, I'm in so much pain. It's crazy. And this hand was sort of bugging me, but there's no swelling. I doubt you could tell the difference, but I can feel the difference. Maybe you can. I feel like this is all swollen right here and that this isn't. Is that possible? I'd love to know in the comments. Yeah, Jewel, it does seem puffy and weird and doesn't. Is that possible? But let's do this while we're at it. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know. It's just interesting. But what happens for me is, yeah, I get pouty and I go back to what used to comfort me. Hilarious that I would grab ice cream when I was sick. That is just crazy because, of course, it just throws your body into a tizzy and it has to work even harder towards wellness. But you know what? You do what you do and you know at the time. So the tale of two Jules is that, sadly, one of me is a cheerleader for the world and one of me is a hypercritical nightmare for myself. And I'm so sorry for that. And I accidentally take on other people's stuff, but because I'm not comfortable like communicating per se, I totally put, whenever my life is out of control, let's put it this way. When something's out of control that I can't seem to control around me, what I can control is me. And unfortunately, I start battering myself. I start putting myself down. I start being hard on myself. I start, being hypercritical of myself. And I'm so sorry. And awareness is the beginning, of course, of recovery from that. But I'm so sorry. So this one person really hurt my feelings. They were just like, I just said a joke, but it wasn't funny for them. But it was a reasonable joke for what we were talking about. And all of a sudden they were just like, that's so disgusting. And I just can't believe it. And don't even talk to me. And I'm like, okay, what? I mean, oh my gosh, it was, okay, I'm going to tell you what the joke was. So what it was this person was pouring out the milk. Well, first of all, they checked the date on the milk, which had never been opened. They didn't even open it. And it had a date. And then I said, well, maybe you should smell it to see if it's okay because you haven't even opened it yet. So maybe it didn't expire as quickly as it would have certainly had you opened it. So anyway, they're like, yeah, no, I don't do that. No, no, no. So they poured out the milk. And then they were like, look, can't you tell there's like a ring where it was kind of thickening? And then I joked and said, oh, darn, we could have saved it and I could have made yogurt. Which I thought was super funny. And first of all, of course it's a joke because I don't do yogurt anymore, right? It upset them so much. They were just like, you are flippant disgusting. I can't believe you would say that to me. And just don't even talk to me. And I was like, what happened? What happened? I don't know. But it got ugly fast. And it was mean. It was like angry and mean. And I didn't think it had to go to the point of don't even talk to me. And I was like, I was able to get on with my stuff, but it kept reeling, it just kept reeling through my mind. And I wish I just had the grace to just know that that was in the moment, and whatever was freaking that person out probably didn't have much to do with me. And my intention of my heart was pure, and so I need to let it go. But that's what I mean. I want to get to that part instead of all the of I shouldn't have done that. Like that stuff I can't control. God grant me the serenity, right? I can't control how that person responded. I can only control how I act the next time, right? Anyway, people, I just wanted to check in with you. You're my JBV community, and I'm afraid if I miss like more than one video, I might lose some viewers. I'll go from 6 viewers to 4. It's okay. Best kept secret on the internet. Are you with me? All right. Like if you like, join us if you haven't subscribed. Let me know in the comments below how I may support you. If you're a prayer person, pray me through my day. I plan on waking up well, full of energy, and my hand healed. I love it. Until we talk again, best of all, know that you're blessed.